What would you do if you had lots of money to spare? Well, I can't answer that for you, but surely can enlighten you with what these Americans did with theirs. Let's take you back in time, shall we? During the First World War, America, playing the cunning fox, took advantage of Europe's preoccupation with the war to increase their commerce at the expense of Europe. Jazz and making fast money was in people's minds. As a result of which, the United States experienced a remarkable socio-economic bloom during the 1920s, and future prosperity appeared to be unavoidable. President Coolidge told Congress in 1928 the country can regard the present with satisfaction and anticipate the future with optimism. However, this overconfidence and overexpansion fueled the Wall Street crash, which signaled the beginning of a catastrophic economic crisis that would lead to the Great Depression. But what exactly was this? In September 1929, the purchasing of stocks at the New York Stock Exchange on Wall Street began to decline. As word spread that the bubble of America the Golden was coming to an end, investors rushed to sell their stocks before values plummeted too low. By the 24th of October, the rush had turned into a disaster for those who had bought their stocks at a high price. The value of listed stocks fell catastrophically by roughly $30 billion. Adding to their miseries, American industrialists took their factories into a domestic overproduction of goods. The manufacturers, especially super corporations, refused to reduce prices or to increase wages substantially. And so, a glut of customer goods built up. This refusal by the manufacturers to compromise was short-sighted to say the least. Because of this, unemployment rates in the United States reached its pinnacle of 24.9% and millions of people faded into oblivion. Truly one of the most painful times known to mankind, but the question arises here is that how did a decline in the American stock market bombard the world's economy? The answer seems to be much simpler than you think. Let me break it down for you. As we know, America was being looked upon as a savior, but now that they got their limbs crushed, there was no other power to support the war-wounded major powers of the world. In Germany, American banks were obliged to stop making new loans. German restitution payments were cancelled in 90% of the cases. In order to deal with the crisis, the Weimar Republic cut all sorts of wages and benefits and purchased stock in factories that were heavily damaged by the downturn. Obviously, this did not bring any change to their broken economy, but in turn resulted in people joining politics, especially Hitler's National Socialist Party. On one hand, there was a tyrant being born, and on the other, ministers were making drastic errors. Britain had a general salary cut by 10% and left the gold standard, resulting in its value falling drastically. The economic crisis, unemployment, government actions to combat it, and the throne succession crisis absorbed public opinion to the point where the British became a little slack and unmindful of European affairs. Winston Churchill criticized Britain's attitude towards Germany as a policy of appeasement and went on to be one of the most popular prime ministers in the line of succession. Normalcy now was no cakewalk. Coming to power, US President Roosevelt introduced a New Deal policy aiming to provide relief, reform, and recovery from the disaster. Several acts and corporations were set up to neutralize this weakening. Historians believe Roosevelt's greatest success was preserving what has come to be known as the American middle way, democracy and free business, at a time when other countries had resorted to fascism in response to comparable problems. Greed, overconfidence, and speculation therefore drove America to its lowest point and the world into a much lethal war.